For this video, we will discuss a magical short story entitled A Very Old Man with Enormous Wings by Señor Gabriel Garcia Marquez. The story is a well-known example of the magical realist style, combining realistic details of Pelayo and Lucinda's life with fantastic elements such as supernatural creatures to create a tone of equal parts local color story and fairy tale. Before we proceed to the story, let's proceed to the author's biography. Señor Gabriel Garcia Marquez was born on March 6, 1927 and died April 17, 2014. He is known to be one of the best short story writer and an accomplished journalist. He became famous for his basic style while still satisfying sophisticated critics. Here are some of the notable works of the author. Before delving in the story, let us know where did the story took place. The story happened on the backyard of Pelayo and Lucinda's house. This will be the only setting in the story. For the summary, we will tackle about the introduction first, followed by the three conflicts, up to the highest peak of the story, down to recognizing the resolution on the denouement. In the beginning, Pelayo discovers the old man in his courtyard. To start the conflict, the town debates whether or not the old man is an angel. And then the priest, Father Gonzaga, arrives and writes to the church to clarify things up. Then suddenly, the spider woman arrives in town, which shaken their belief on the old man. On the climax of the story, Pelayo and Lucinda bought a home from the money they saved by charging a fee to whoever wants to see the old man. As we go down to the story, due to the cold weather, the old man gets sick and they let it enter their new house. As the story ends, the old man regains its strength and flies away. For the animation of the story, let's watch The Very Old Man with enormous.
This is a story about a husband and wife named Pelayo and Elisenda who live near the ocean. They are proud parents to a newborn child, though the child is sick. After a bad storm, they notice an old man with wings near their house and keep him in a chicken coop. The townspeople are curious as to what the man is, and it is determined that the old man with wings is an angel. Father Gonzaga, the town priest, visits the old man with wings, but after speaking with him, the father doesn't believe that he is an angel. Despite his doubt, he still writes a letter to the bishop for orders on what to do. Meanwhile, Pelayo and Elisenda begin charging people money to see the old man with wings, and they become very wealthy. To capitalize on the popularity of the old man with wings, a woman spider arrives and impresses the crowd, which results in less visitors for the old man with wings. Pelayo and Elisenda build a new, bigger house and raise their son as the old man with wings continues to live outside. The old man with wings begins to get sick and loses his wings, but survives the tough winter. In the end, the old man with wings grows new feathers on his back and eventually flies away. Don't forget to subscribe for more Minute Book Reports, and thanks for watching.
Now the question here is, did you understand the context of the story? For us to have a better analysis, let's listen to Miss Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Balcarcel. Let's talk about A Very Old Man with Enormous Wings, a short story by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It's a very confusing story, and when we get to the end, we don't know that we've learned anything, or that any of the characters have learned anything. It's not certain whether this creature is actually an angel. Certainly he's not a Norwegian, which some of the villagers think. That doesn't make sense to us, but we're not sure even what to make of it anyway. Even though we're so much wiser than these ignorant villagers who have all these crazy ideas, we're not much better off than they are. So what is Marquez trying to say with this story? Well, some of the ambiguity may be the message itself, that we don't always know what to make of events in our lives. and they look like good things, but then maybe they're not so good. Or something that looks like trouble, ooh, a divorce, a breakup, turns out to be good. Oh, I build a new life and I'm happy. So part of it might be that we're not certain what is really happening in our lives, and we're not actually able to get out of our own lives to have enough perspective to know whether an event is good or bad. We're not sure how to treat it, and perhaps we treat it badly when it does come because we're not wise enough really to know how to treat these events that intrude on our lives. Another idea is that this very old man with enormous wings is the other, or is the stranger, the person who comes into our circle from the outside, so an outsider. So think of any kind of outsider to a group, folks with disabilities, folks with sexual orientations different than our own, people who are from another religion. Any group might be the other for us. And upon that other, we project all kinds of bad things. So this angel, if it is an angel, comes into their lives, and instead of being interested and curious about this different person, no, they persecute it, they exploit it, and this poor creature is treated cruelly. So perhaps we tend to do that ourselves with folks who are outside of our normal experience, and we try to impose on them what we think they should be instead of appreciating who they actually are. Well, let's see. A third idea is that Marquez himself felt like this very old man with enormous wings as he was becoming a popular writer. He was making a name for himself, and when he wrote this story, he was pretty famous. And celebrities always struggle with how their fame is affecting their lives, affecting their creativity, and how they're received out there. So perhaps the writer feels like an oddity, like this very old man with enormous wings, a strange creature. He might be attacked, he might be put on a pedestal. People just can't react to him in the right way. And sort of like I said with the outsider, people don't appreciate him for who he really is. Instead, they make up all these expectations that they think he should reach. You ought to be like this. If you're a real angel, you should be white, and you should have these magical powers, and you should be strong. And oh, that's not what you got, you know. So maybe as a writer, people were saying, well, wait, if you're a famous writer, we want you to do this and that and write like this, and you should be a spokesperson for this cause, or whatever expectations were pushed on him. He had to say, well, wait a minute, I'm going to do my art, and I want to do my work. And even if they think I'm like this very old man with enormous wings, and I'm gross and I'm weird, well, that's who I am. That's who I have to be. So that's another idea of how to interpret this story. Now, the story itself is rather strange because none of the people are nice, none of them are compassionate or humane. They all just exploit the very old man with enormous wings. They are in their little lives. They show a lot of ignorance in how they treat him and their ideas about him. Even the church, which might be a source of enlightenment, turns out just to be like more noise and red tape and doesn't have anything effective or constructive to contribute. And so I feel like maybe it's the reader who ends up growing and changing as we look at this story and we see what not to be. Like, we don't want to be like those people because they have such a narrow perspective that they don't appreciate what they have. This fantabulous creature is there, but they don't really go to any trouble to learn more about him or figure out what he is, except with derision, with fear, with cruelty. They simply say, well, you're not what we ordered. If you're an angel, well, you're not the kind of angel we want to have. And they just overlook all of the interesting qualities about him. Now, he is smelly, he is gross, he has bugs in his wings, and he doesn't seem to engage with people or want to show and share at all. He pulls back, but after all, they did throw him in a chicken coop, so hey, it's not like he should be nice to these people. Even the child is treats him with indignities. We don't know what they are, but the child is not any more open-minded really than the adults. I feel like as the reader, I'm supposed to not be like all those people, and instead I'm supposed to realize that I should appreciate creatures and people for who they are instead of trying to impose my standards on them. And then I miss out on this new interesting thing because I'm all boxed in. There's more to say as far as the style or the symbolism. We have the angel is associated with the sea, comes in on the sea, leaves on a sea wind, sings these sailor songs called sea chanties. And the sea may always be a symbol of the possibilities or the endless, boundless nature that is both cruel and giving. If the angel is a gift from the sea, in a sense, then they reject the gift and they don't know what to do with the gift, and it's very awkward. And finally, thank God, he's able to leave and kind of rescue himself. Did he actually cause the miracles? Well, the lady who says he's an angel doesn't have a lot of credibility because she says all kinds of crazy stuff. But then the narrator tells us he's an angel and talks about lunar dust and some other things that imply that he really is an angel. So maybe the problem is that when God or the divine does erupt into our lives, we don't know what to make of it and how to treat it. And we don't even recognize it for what it is. He is mysterious. And maybe that's part of the message, that when the mysterious comes into our lives, we try to just explain it away, and we don't enjoy the deliciousness of something mysterious, something we don't understand. But we can certainly see that when faced with things we don't understand, human nature says, let's just, be afraid of it and let's stick it in the chicken coop. Maybe that's how we are with the mysterious in our lives and in the world. Well, here are some of my thoughts about this story. I hope you feel like you understand it a little better. I'm still pretty confused about it myself. I think being confused may be one of the things that Marquez is trying to do, because when we're certain about things, we tend to get it wrong. So maybe being in confusion is actually okay. Well, join me for another video next time. Bye.
According to Miss Rebecca Barker-Sell in the story A Very Old Man with Enormous Wings, some of the ambiguity is maybe the message itself. There are things that are quite hard to understand, hard to explain. Maybe we just have to look for its deeper meaning, understand the symbolisms presented in the text, for us to have a deeper analysis of what the text is all about. The first ambiguity in the story is when Peleo saw the old man with wings. Before he saw the old man, it was dark and the light was so weak. That's why he had a hard time figuring out what the creature is. And sometimes there are things that are coming to us unexpectedly, even during our darkest days. We don't know how to accommodate it, we don't know how to react on it, and even do something about it. We pray and believe that some miracles may come, but what act will you do if it is not the expected miracle you prayed for? Next is Father Gonzaga's expectations. Everyone deserves to have expectations and standards in meeting someone that you never have seen before. And these expectations sometimes disappoint us, most especially if it did not meet our standards, like how Father Gonzaga had his suspicion to the old man being an impostor, for it cannot speak the language of the church or Latin, and the looks of the old man is not what is expected to be a beautiful angel. Next is consolidated miracles. The angel healed the illness of the child, of Peleo and Elisenda, and even Father Gonzaga's insomnia, and still it is unappreciated. There are things that we do or do for others, but we don't receive any credits at all. We all know that the appearance of the angel somehow portrays age and disease, and we sometimes look on the appearance first, even if the intentions or the motives of the old man or a person are good. The literary criticism that we are going to use on this text is formalism. Formalism ignores the author's biography and focuses only on the interaction of literary elements within the text. A formalist reading of text focuses on symbol, metaphor, imagery, characterization, and so on. If we are going to give definition about symbolism, it is an art of using an object or a character to represent something that has a deeper meaning. Therefore, an action, person, place, or word can all have an abstract idea and different meaning from its literal meaning. When authors want to suggest a certain idea, they can also use symbolism to give us a hint rather than what is the meaning of it. The first symbolism is the old man. The character is an old man because it represents humanity. It is an old man instead of a young man because the elderly should be respected for their wisdom. The ultimate effect is to suggest that the old man is both natural and supernatural at once, having the wings of a heavenly messenger, but all the frailties of an earthly creature. The next symbolism is his wings. His wings also connect him to both innocence and spirituality, because a man with wings is often interpreted to be an angel. With its physical evidences, their faith is justified. The wings represents power, speed, and limitless freedom of motion. In the Christian tradition, angels are often represented as beautiful winged figures, and Senor Marquez plays off this cultural symbolism because ironically, the wings of the angel in the story convey only a sense of age and disease. Another symbolism in the story was the Spider Woman. This symbolizes the people's faith, and with the existence of the wingman, and as easily swayed when another unique creature came into the community. The people finally ignored the existence of the wingman and shifted their attention towards the Spider Woman. Father Gonzaga, the priest, represents the orthodoxy of the Catholic Church. When he spoke to the old man with wings and it doesn't reply with the language of the church referred to as Latin language, he doesn't believe that the old man is an angel. Pelayo and Elisenda as the last symbol in the story represents pragmatic and the secular world. That the people, ironically, believes in superstitions but were born Christians. They are rooted in the material and can only be treated the miraculous as something to show imperfectly into their physical realm. They treat the miracles that they come to their life as nothing and doesn't believe that miracles can happen even they are praying for miracles. Now let's proceed to the style used by Senor Gabriel Garcia Marquez named magical realism. The term magical realism was first used in 1925 by German art critic Franz Roh in his book After Expressionism, Magical Realism. He used the term to describe a new objectivity, a style of painting that was popular in Germany that can be a substitute to romanticized expressionism. Magical realism is a genre of literature that is a part of the realism genre of fiction. It shows the real world and the undercurrent of magic or fantasy. The setting in the story is still in the real world, but also, fantastical elements are considered normal in the story, like fairy tales and any other supernatural stories. Magical realism novels and short stories blur the line between fantasy and reality. One of the themes presented in the story is the coexistence of cruelty and compassion. It examines and shows the human response to those who are weak, dependent, and different. There are moments of striking cruelty and callousness throughout the story. After Elisenda and Pelaya's child recovers from his illness, the parents decided to put the old man to the sea on a raft with provisions for 3 days, rather than just killing him. A concession to the old man's difficult situation, but hardly a kind act. Once they discover that they can profit from showcasing him, Pelaya and Elisenda imprison him in a chicken coop outside, where strangers pelt him with stones, gawk at him, and even burn him with a branding iron. Next theme is hypocrisy, greed, fear, and paranoia. Others claim to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform or pretends. That can sometimes lead to something bad like greed or selfish desires for something, especially wealth, power, or even food. And sometimes we can feel that we are being threatened in some way, such as people watching you or acting against you, even though there's no proof that it's true. It happens to a lot of people at some point. Even when you know that your concerns aren't based in reality, they can be troubling if they happen too often. Let me end this lesson with a quote. Life is very mysterious, and there are many things we don't know. And there are elements of magic realism in every culture, everywhere. It's just accepting that we don't know everything and everything is possible. By Isabel Allende. Thank you and God bless us all.
Happy learning at home with lessons made easy by Olivarian GoTeach. One proud Olivarian.